Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. I want you all to backtest Euro USD with me. Okay. I believe all of us here watching this video right now are Forex traders. And as a trader, you know how important it is for you to have a working strategy. And for you to have a working strategy, you need to actually prove that it works. And how do you prove that a strategy works? You backtest. Right? The term backtest means going back in price to test a strategy to see how well it plays out in the market and how well it gives you that edge to maneuver your way to making profits in the market. So what you are going to do right now is backtest a currency pair, Euro USD to be specific. So all you have to do here is click on on new session. Let's create a new session to backtest Euro USD. So call the session any name we want, and let's have a starting balance of $100. Let's times that up by 5, and let's go with $500. We select our pair and pick Euro USD, and let's start from the beginning of the year. Let's start from the beginning of the year, which is January, and then we save. So it will asynchronously create that instance of a new session. So this is it. We've created a new session, and for those of you who are new to my channel and you are wondering how I get to know about this software, it's called Trading Casa. I already have a detailed video about it. If you look at the top right corner of this video, you see the link. Click on it and watch that video. I talked about everything you need to know about getting this software and backtesting for free. So this software allows you to backtest for free without paying a dime. Unlike TradingView that makes you pay before you trade. Okay, so let's click on play. Okay, so yeah, this is a chart, right? As you can see, the interface looks so much like TradingView. It looks almost like a clone or a replica. At the left hand side, you have all the tools at your disposal, and right here we have what replay bar. Okay, so let's start. Now, I believe each and every one of us know that every independent trader out there have their specific strategies that they use to tackle the market to maneuver and make profits. Okay, so on that note, I'm going to be trading with my own strategy. So if you follow along and you like the way I trade, you can simply click on the link in the description to join my Telegram channel where I post my Forex trade insights and give educational content as well. All right, so I'm not going to be breaking down things from scratch, right? Just see how I trade, and then probably I'll just give you an insight on the whole picture of how I trade, and then we'll just start backtesting. Okay, so I'll just quickly do that. Now, simply the way I trade, I use a normal basic market structure, which is what for bullish structures we have what higher highs and higher lows printing, right? So this is the basic knowledge that each and every one of us know. And also in the downtrend, we have what lower highs and lower lows printing. Okay, until we do what eventually break structure, signaling what a change in trend, and then we move to the converse direction. Same thing here, we keep printing bullish movements until we see what a change of character, or should I say an internal break of structure, and then we change trend. Right. So that's the way I trade. I trade based off this basic market structure because I like keeping my trading as simple as possible. Now, the way but the thing is, one thing about the market is that it doesn't present you with that simple opportunity. It's in as much as it's simple to draw it with the path tool, it's not as easy to identify it on the chart. The chart doesn't always present it in that beautiful manner. That's why we have smart money concept to help us align our directions with the chart. That's where liquidity concept comes in, sweeps, trend line liquid, all those liquidity concept and all those breakout blocks, fair value gaps, and the rest of that. So what those concepts come to help us to do is to do what help us know where the institutions and the big banks may likely buy from or sell from, and what the agenda for the day is. All right. Okay. So let's start. Let's begin. So I have three time frames that I work with. The first one is 4 hour time frame. I'm so sorry for the background noise, right? The 4 hour time frame, which is what I use for my outer shell market structure. Like if I want to see what the trend is externally, what it's doing overall, I go to my 4 hour. Some persons use the daily time frame, which is also fine, but I use the 4 hour time frame because I like to keep things in a day trading perspective, right? So I use the 4 hour time frame. I also use the 1 hour time frame, which is for my POI selection, and then my 15-minute time frame for my entries and trade management. Okay, so let's check the overall bias of the market right now, and let's see what's happening. So if you notice from the look of things now, before we proceed, this is my balance right here. As you can see, I have no open positions yet. This is my balance. So if you want to place a trade, you just click on open position. Don't worry, I'll show you how to back test, right? So let's begin. So let's get our bias. Our bias right here is what? Sells. Right? Our external structure is showing us that our price has been bearish for a very long time. Right? Price has been bearish. We had that sweep, right? Now that's why I told you that price is not always going to give you that smooth, basic um uptrend and downtrend structures. Like you can see here now, these are these are break of structure. These are external swing high. These are external swing low. Now, from what you know in our basic market structure, price is not supposed to do what? Trade above our swing high in our what? In our which is our lower high, right, for our downtrend. Because if price trades above it, that means what? It's signaling what? A change in trend. But unlike that, what we have here, what do we have here? You can notice price trading above it, right? But that's where liquidity concept comes in. If you notice here, price is not actually close above it. What price did was what? It just swept liquidity and then tapped on this zone right here. So price used our external structure as inducement for this zone, right? So price um clear swept this high, took all of the back all the stop losses around this zone, and then started selling to the downside, right? So we have this as our external low, right? And we'll be expecting price to take it to the downside, is it not? So that's our bias right here. We are still in a downtrend and price is still bearish. Now we look at the internal structure of the 4-hour time frame. We are still bearish as well. This is our internal structure, is it not? This is our internal structure, right? So for price to switch trend, we have to see something like this, right? We have to see price invalidate this internal structure before we can then do what? Start looking for what? A potential change in trend, is it not? So let's go down to our 1-hour time frame and see what price is doing. Okay, all right. So we are still bearish, right? These are 1-hour swing structure. Our 1-hour swing structure is our what? Our 4-hour internal range structure. So let's just see what price is doing. Let me make this 10 minutes and increase. Let me reduce this to 5 so the speed doesn't get too much. So let's see what price. Let's see if price actually takes out this low. Okay. Let me increase the speed to 15 minutes. Right. So we've now had what? What do we now have now? We have what? A break of structure to the downside. Right. So we are still, but we go back to our 4-hour time frame, and you notice that what we've had a break of structure. Okay, so we've taken that external range liquidity. I think I'm going to be making a separate standalone video on liquidity, right? I'm going to be making a separate standalone video on liquidity. So each time I talk about external range liquidity, internal range liquidity, structural liquidity, you should know what I mean. Okay, but for this video, I just want us to backtest. So I'll show you how I backtest and how I trade. So we've had this break of structure. So these are new swing high, and this is the now this is supposed to be like the next high, but price did not close. We not actually have a body candle close above that high. So this still remains my swing high, and this is a break. This is my break of structure, and this is now my what? This is now my what? My recent internal high. This is my recent internal high, which is my 1-hour swing high. Okay, so now what do we know happens in our basic market structure? After a break of structure, what do we expect? We expect a pullback, right? We expect a pullback into what? Into premium zones. Um in sell positions, what do we look for? We look for price in a bearish trend. After a break of structure, what do we expect? We expect price to do or to pull back into premium zone, because we want to sell from a premium zone and buy from a discount zone. That's why we buy from discount zones in an uptrend and sell in premium zones in a downtrend, right? So what we'll be looking for now is a pullback, a pullback. Okay, But price doesn't always have to pull back. There are sometimes that price will just keep going down. But just know that after a break of structure, we expect or we anticipate a pullback. And for that pullback to happen, price is also going to give you a signal, right? Price is also going to give you a signal. You're going to start seeing that um, bullish movement happening, right? You're going to start seeing that bullish movement happening for you to for price to tell you that, okay, it's time for us to pull back. Okay, so let's see if we get that. Let's see if we can get a trade from it. I think I would increase the speed. Now, if you notice, we are kind of pulling back. We are kind of pulling back, right? Notice that we're having minor breaks of structures to the upside. Let's wait for price to do its thing. Okay. Now we are pulling back, so we can easily just mark out our Fibonacci. So let's bring our Fibonacci to and let's mark out our premium and discount. Okay. Right. So let's see how price plays out. Okay. So what are we having here now? And now you should also know that price doesn't always come back to your premium zone, right? In as much as we have that as our concept, price may not always come back to that zone to continue its trend. Most times it just looks for where to take the necessary liquidity before coming back to fulfill its objective. Right. So let's see if we can possibly take any sell from here. Right. But it's going to be a low. That's why we have high probability trades and low probability. But generally, I actually treat every trade as low probability because even those high probability setups are just you and your strategy, right? And doesn't concern the institutions and the big banks. They would still do whatever they want to do. So every trade is actually a low probability trade, but there are some setups that you'd see that you'd be like, oh, I feel like this stuff is actually going to play out the way I think it should, right? So those are the kind of setups that we actually consider as high probability setups, right? But for this kind of trade, this looks like a very good sell because we've done what we've taken our liquidity, taking our buy side liquidity, and price could do what keep continue its sell continuation from here to the downside, but it's going to be a very it's going to be a good sell, but it's going to be a low probability sell. And why is it going to be a low probability sell? Because we are still in our discount zone. We've barely entered into our premium zone. We still have what orders to be filled here. We still have areas of interest above here that price might want to do what come to tap from before continuing to sell, right? But let's see if you can take a sell from here. Let's get down to our 15 minutes to look for confirmations. Now, if you notice here, we swept liquidity into this 4 hour internal structure. These are 4 hour internal structure, and we swept liquidity to that zone, right? And we've had 15 minutes break of structure to the downside. What does that tell you? That price was what price might want to start selling. Okay, so let's see if price gives us any liquidity. Okay, so ranging price actually ranging. Okay, so what do we have here? Price could be using this as a liquidity for this zone right here. Okay, so this would be a very good place to take a sell with minimal risk as we still have POIs above, right? So we'll be targeting this low as TP1 here as TP. Oh, sorry. We'll be targeting that low as TP1, this as TP2. Basically 3R, right? Basically 3R. Basically 3R. So let's just see what happens. This is a low probability trade, but let's just see what happens, right? Let's see if price tags us in. Okay, so we get tagged in and we are out. Are we out? No, we are not out yet. So let's keep displaying price. Oh, I forgot to buy. Oh, I am so sorry. We are supposed to click on this and then click on open position and then put a particular risk that I want to take. Well, there are more trades to come. So let's just see how this goes first. Let's just see how this goes first. But at this point, you should know that you should already have your break even set already. You should have set your SL to entry already and probably taking partials because like this is already over 2 hour. I take partials from 1 hour and I'll set my SL to break even. Right, that's how you manage risk, right? And then you let the rest to run till 3 hour. So if it doesn't play out, you are still safe. Right, like I said, it's a low probability trade. Let's just see what happens. Okay, so we are still moving. Let me increase the speed. Okay, and we eventually hit TP. Right, so this would have given you, if you risk like 10% of this account, if you risk like $50 on this account, we'll be having like over $100 plus on this trade. We'll be having like over $150 plus on this trade. So this is a very clean setup. So this is price giving you the intent, its intention on selling. Okay, so we've gotten our confirmation on the 15 minutes, we've sold, and now let's get back to a 1 hour time frame and see what price is doing. Okay, so you can see how I mix up these time frames together. First of all, the 4 hour time frame, then back to the 1 hour time frame, and then over towards the 15-minute time frame. So now we've seen that what 4 hour internal structure, which is our 1 hour swing structure, has aligned itself with the overall trend. The overall trend is what a sell, a downtrend. The overall trend is what a sell, which is a downtrend. And now our 1 hour structure has aligned itself with our 4 hour structure. So we can now what? We can now keep selling, is it not? We can now keep what selling, right? So let's see. Let's see if price continues selling. Do we have any area of interest that we can sell from these zones? We have an area of interest here. Why do I call this an area of interest? Because price came to this zone, right? This is a flip zone. Price came to this zone, tried to break above, failed, and then we did what? We started selling down, right? But will I set a sell limit here? No, right? You don't trade like that. You wait for confirmations. As you notice here, we do not have any structural liquidity to the left, right? So basically, what price is supposed to do is what? After breaking down here like this, we should see something like a structural liquidity form behind our POI, right? And then boom, so that price can do what? Come and use this as liquidity before continuing the sell, right? So that's how you trade. But notice that we do not have any liquidity to the left. So what will we wait for? Wait for price to build that liquidity to the right, right? Before we can now sell. But you don't just have a POI like this because I say this is a flip and then you just start selling. So you want to wait for price to engineer that liquidity before you can take that sell. So can we consider this as liquidity? No. Why? Because it's too far off the POI, right? So you want to actually think like these people, right? Like this POI is quite very far from this liquidity is quite far from this POI. So I wouldn't personally I wouldn't be considering this as my structural liquidity. I'm still going to wait for more build up, right? I'm still going to wait for more build up to consider that POI tradable. Okay. So let's just wait for the reaction. Let me increase the speed. Let's see what price does. Okay, so now what do we have? We have what? A new internal structure, right? Okay, all right. Now, if you notice, we've now had a new break of structure to the downside. All right, we've now had a new. Okay, we haven't closed that candle below, so let's watch. Okay, now we've had that close. We've had that candle close below that low. So what do we have now? We have a new for swing. Easier as easy as that. So you can delete this. You now have what? So you can see how price is delivering. You can see how price is delivering. And notice that price is not actually for this let me go back. For this let me go back. Okay. Now for this our previous swing high and low. This is our price now actually come back to our premium level before selling off. And that's what I told you. Price may not always come back to our premium zone in a downtrend, or even in an uptrend. Price may not always come back to your discount zone before continuing its intention. Do you understand? That's why I told you that this basic market structure doesn't always play out like we expect. Price will not always come back to this discount zone. You understand? So you just have to like know that. You just have to know that, right? So now we have what? We have a new swing. We have a new 4 hour swing. So these are present swing high, and these are break of structure. So what do we expect after a break of structure? Expect what? A pullback. So let's go down to our 1 hour time frame and let's wait for price to develop to see if we can actually take any pullback into premium prices or into actually an area of value that we can sell from. Okay, so right now, what do we have here? Notice that price has started breaking structure to the upside, giving us that signal that price may now want to start that temporary bullish movement to the upside. Okay, so do we have an area of interest that we can buy from? Yes, we do. Do we have liquidity? We don't. What is this area of interest? How how interested are we in this POI? What makes it an area of interest? Why are we interested in this area? Because why? We have one a flip. This zone is a flip. It's a valid flip zone. Why is it a flip zone? It's a flip zone because we have this supply right here. Price flipped from what? From supply to demand. This is that price came to this supply zone, tried to continue its trend to the downside, but it failed. It failed to do so, and then boom, we had this break of structure. So this is an area of value, right? Because the flip zone. But do we have sweep of liquidity? We don't, right? I can't actually call this a sweep, right? This is not actually a visible sweep. Sorry for this. Let me take this down. So will I consider this a sweep? Some persons might say this is a sweep, but if you go down to your lower time frame, like a 1 hour time frame, you see it clearly. But personally, I won't consider that a sweep because it's quite subtle. It's not very obvious, right? So I'm going to wait for structural liquidity to confirm this POI if I can take any buys from it, right? So what do we have here? Price has come to our 4 hour internal zone. Let's go down to our 4 hour time frame. And you notice that these are 4 hour internal range. These are 4 hour internal zone. Okay. So price might actually, and this is actually looking like liquidity, but let's just see. These are 4 hour internal zone. These are um yeah, so these are internal these are high, the 1 hour high. So let's see. Price might actually use this as liquidity before we sell. But let's see what happens. Now watch. Price actually came back to this zone that I rejected. Price actually used this as the liquidity for this zone. But personally, I wouldn't actually set a limit order right here because I don't think this zone, I wouldn't actually regard this zone as liquidity for me because it's kind of far from my POI. Right? It's kind of far from my POI. Even if I want to take a trade, I would not set a sell limit right here. I would wait for more confirmations from my 50 minutes before I can take any sell. So let's see if we can get any. Okay, that was quick. Let's reduce this 10 minutes. So we've gotten a confirmation from here. We've had a 15-minute break to the downside. So where can we actually sell from? Right. So this is a money exchange right here. You can see that interaction. Okay. So that's a good area of value to sell from. But let's see if price will print some sort of liquidity before that high. Okay, so we have that. Kind of having that. I don't like the way price is dazzling around that point, but let's see. Kind of have that liquidity seated there. So let's see what happens. Okay, right. So we now have this structural liquidity sitting around this POI. So let's see if we can take a sell position from here. Now, mind you, we are still in a discount zone. We haven't gotten to our premium zone yet. So we still have other POIs at the top that price might, go to look for that continue that sell from. So this is going to we are going to take minimal risk on this. So let's click on open position. So let's just risk 10% on every trade. That would be $50. So this is how to um place a trade, right? For the backtesting session, you just click on that. Let's go back. You click on your sell stuff, your what is this called? Your short position. Okay. Then you click on open position. It's going to bring out this stuff. Then if you want to buy, you buy. If you want to sell, you sell. All of this. In fact, any trade you click on, right? If you don't want to stress yourself inputting all of those values, just click on it. Right? It's going to know automatically the kind of trade that you're in and putting all the values for you as well. Then you put in your risk per that trade. Let's say you want to risk $50, which is 10% of our account on this trade. Then you just click on place trade. Let's play it and see how let's see how it turns out. Okay, but let's just see how price plays out. Now let's see if we would break even at this point. This is the point where I'll even be looking to break even. Um, let's see, have we covered up to 1 hour? Not quite yet. Not quite. Yes, we've actually covered 1 hour. So this is the point where I'll be breaking even. Oh, sorry. What did I just do? So this is the point where I'll move my SL to break even and let the trade play out. So our normal 3 hour, right? Normal 3 hour. This is why I'm taking 3 hours because like we've not gotten to the premium zone yet. So this is not like a very high probability setup. So I'll just take 3 hour. So let's continue and see what happens. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we hit break even. We hit break even on that. Right, exactly. So we break even on that, and then we ended up moving to our premium zone. So let's get back to our far time frame and see where we are presently. So this is how you multi time frame, right? You move back and forth from your time frames and make sure you don't get left out, or you don't suck in too much in your lower time frames that you forget that you have a higher time frame. Do you understand? So at this point we are in our premium zone of our 4 hour time frame, is it not? So we'll be looking to sell. Right, but if you notice here, that's why you need to look very well. You need to look very, very well. If you notice, we have this very bullish 4 hour candle that pushed price into our PI zone, into our area of interest. So it's looking like we have a lot of buyers. We have good buying pressure coming in the market. But after that, as much as we are seeing that we still want to follow our plan, is it not? So let's just see. We have come to our extreme zone, very high probability setup. But will I take a sell from here? No, I will not take. I will not set a limit order and just sell straight. You don't trade like that. Is it not? We wait for our confirmation entries, and moreover, we do not have any liquidity to the left. So we don't have any structural liquidity to the left. So what do? We wait for price to give us that liquidity to the right. Right. So before we take any trade, so let's get down to our 15-minute time frame and see what price does. Okay, so we've broken structure. Let's see price grab liquidity first before we do anything. Okay, so what do? We have taken out this high. We've taken out this high, right? So we've grabbed liquidity above that high. So let's see if price breaks structure to the downside for more confirmation. Nice, we have actually broken this structure. Let's just see what happens. We haven't broken this structure yet. I'll be waiting for price to take out the structure to give me that confirmation that we are going to use that. Nice. Now we've had this break of structure. We have our structural liquidity up here. This liquidity is still far from it, but I would still take it anyways, and I'll be taking this as my structural liquidity because like we have we've come towards our premium zone, to the extreme zone at most. We've taken our liquidity in our POI. We don't have liquidity to the left, so we took liquidity to the right, and now we've had something. We still have structural liquidity sitting right here. So price might just come here to. So two things are going to happen here. Either we hit our target, we come to our POI, or we don't. Because most times like this, price will not actually give you that room to, you know. Okay, we've not actually placed ourselves. So let's open our sell position, risking $50 and a 5 hour. Let's target this low, right? Let's target this low. Okay, so let's see what price does. So we've come into our POI. Let's see. Okay, so we are dazzling around that POI, and we hit SL. So this is our first SL for the this backtest session. And why do we hit this SL? Now anytime we hit an SL while backtesting, or even in your real trade, you have to come back to the chart and ask yourself what actually happened. Now if you look here, like I told you earlier, we can see that there's a lot of pressure coming into the market, telling you that it's likely that buyers are doing or trooping in. Right. So this is like a signal. But in as we disregarded this, and then we still followed our normal trading strategy, which is fine. So this is the kind of loss that you call what, a valid loss, right? This is the kind of loss you call a valid loss, right? It's called a valid loss. But personally, I will take this trade, but I'll have minimal risk on it because of like this pressure, this buy pressure that came in to the market. All right, so let's now, what do we have now? We've had what, a switch in trend, right? So price has broken the external range liquidity, it has taken the external structure. So we now have what, a change, sorry, we now have a change in trend in our 4 hour time frame. Okay, so after a break of structure, this is just rinse and repeat, right? After a break of structure, what do you expect? Expect a pullback into discount zone. So let's go back to our 1 hour time frame. So, in as much as we are waiting for that pullback, no, we still have it in mind that price is not going to always pull back to our discount zone before we keep buying. Price might just pull back to an area of interest that has structural liquidity, and then keep bouncing up from there. So just have that in mind. So if we get presented with any buy opportunity in our premium zone, I'll be happy to buy, right? But I'm happy to buy with what, minimal risk, right? Because I'm not going to be risking that much, because like we still have other discount levels that price might still want to come back down to, right? But due to the fact that we have it in mind that price is not always going to reach there, we can still look for what are um high probability setups and take our trades from there as well. Okay, so our internal structure is still bullish, and this is our internal low, right? This is still our internal high, which correlated with our external break of structure. So we have a sweep of liquidity down here, price sweep liquidity, but we have structural liquidity. No, this stuff here is still, it's very far away. I cannot consider this a structural liquidity for this zone. All right, so let's just see what price does if it gives us a buy opportunity. Price might actually buy from here and keep going, but let's just see. Right, so it's going to be okay. Okay. Hmm. So what the price do? Price has swept this low, and then this is the kind of trade I will not actually take, because this is where my POI is. I can't see anything here that price is reacting off from. Probably an FVG or something in a higher time frame. I don't know. I don't actually trade. I don't actually put much focus on FVGs. So I'm not going to be. This is a very clean sweep, right? This is actually a very clean grab of liquidity, signaling that price wants to actually move to the upside, right? But we don't have any POI here that I can consider for a buy, right? But this is a very good, right, signal that price wants to move to the upside. So Buying from here, it's not actually going to be a bad idea buying from here. But personally, I won't take this buy. Let's just see what price does. Okay, we ended up moving to the upside. Right, so you just have to have a plan and stick with it, no matter how spicy the chart presents itself, right? Even if it goes in your way or whatever. So we've had that break of structure to the upside. So this is our new internal leg, right? So we've not yet had that pullback. Notice that we are still waiting for that. We are still waiting after a break of structure. We expect a pullback, right? We are still waiting for that pullback. But in as much as we are waiting for that pullback, we are not going to neglect any buy opportunity we have because we switched trend. And if you notice that we had this very good buy pressure that actually took price to the upside. So we have it in mind that we have buyers coming into the market, right? So if you see any buy opportunity, we can take our confirmations and do what enter. In as much as we still wait for that, that pullback into discount zones, to continue that means buy to the upside, right? So what do we have here? We have our 1 hour time frame breaking series of structures, and let's wait for that 1 hour pullback. Right. At this point, you're not to even look for any sales at all. Right. There are ways you can actually do to take sales, but it's not advisable. That's like a phase D. That's like the phase D of the market. You actually want to be counter trading in this kind of scenario. Just let price do its thing. So as for me, this is where I'll be considering my POI. We have this sweep and we have this here, and I'll use this as my liquidity. Right, so this is where I'll be considering as my POI. So if price come here, I'll go down to my 15-minute time frame to look for entries. So let's see if price comes down to that zone. Right. Okay, so price still dazzling around there, accumulating liquidity up there in that range. You can see that accumulation. So price will either fake out and then come down. Exactly. So you see what happened. Price grabbed liquidity at the top and then came down here. So at this point, wait, let me pause this. At this point right here, we'll be going down to our 15-minute time frame. We're going down to our 15-minute time frame to look for confirmations because even as much as we have our sweep, we have our what, we have our liquidity, we have our fresh soft POI. I'm not going to be setting a limit order here because why? We still have chances that price will start selling down to discount zones. So in this kind of scenario, that's where you look for confirmations. Do you understand? This kind of scenarios where this is where you look for confirmations to actually take your trades. Right. So we have, what do we have here? So since we've already taken liquidity to the left, I'm not going to be that bothered about seeing liquidity to the right, even though it can be essential sometimes. But we've breaking changed character, right? So let's see if we get that other block. I don't know. I'm not actually seeing any good POI that I can accept this, right? So we have this flip zone. You'll see it better on our 15 minutes. We have this flip zone. You can see this interaction from you can see this interaction from buyers and sellers. So price tried to sell from this zone but failed and price takes it out. So that would be my POI. If should in case price should buy from there, this is if price would come back to this zone, this is where I'll be taking my buy from. But I'd like to see I would still like to see price do some taking of liquidity to confirm that POI. But let's just take this trade. Let's just take this trade to target the liquidity resting above here. You can see we have liquidity resting above that area. So let's just see what price does. It's a 2R. It says 2R. So let's just make it 3R so we can take partials at that liquidity area down there. So let's just make it like 3R like this. And let's place our trade. And let's just see what happens. So we're at $450 right now. Let's see if price tags us in. Boom. So we've come to this zone. We did what? We did 1 hour. So now we can break even, right? This is how to trade. This is just how to manage your trades, right? Because like price can just come down and start selling back. So if you want to manage your trade, this is just how to do it consistently, right? So let's see if price now at this point now I can even take partials. Now you can set partials in. Oh, I can't even set. I can't set. I have to set the partials. I have to actually set. I have to set the partials while opening the position. Oh, I forgot. But at this point, in if it was real trading, I would have taken like, because it's like how many are right now? It's like 1.4. So at this point, I would have broken even and taken like 30 to 40% of my position. You understand? Allow my psychology to be at peace. Right. So let's just see what happens. Right. Okay. Right now, we notice that we came back to okay. We haven't hit SL yet, but we came back to break even. This is the most annoying thing about this. Is one of the most annoying thing about trading. This is one of the annoying thing about trading. Price can just come back, break you even, and then boom, straight back to your target. Very rubbish something. This is one of the things that messes up your psychology as well. But if you had managed your trade very well, you would have taken partials from here as well and set your break even. So that's just how the game works. But regardless, you keep that strategy how it is. You don't change your strategy because of some days like this. So what do we have here? Price has taken out this liquidity, and we are still bullish. Price is respecting this 1 hour internal 1 hour internal structure, and still keep in mind that we still haven't had that pullback. Meanwhile, price is actually looking like it's pulling back, right? But we still want price to come into this zone, right? This is our discount zone before we can now have that main buy to the upside, right? But in as much as we are waiting, we are not going to see good buys like this and then just let it go. It doesn't work that way. So let's see if we can take more buys, right? Let's see if we can take more buys. Um, do we have a sweep of liquidity down here? No, we don't have any sweep of liquidity. Where will I be considering as my POI? This is here, but this is a low probability POI because we have what? We don't have a sweep of liquidity. We don't have structural liquidity. So let's just wait and see if price forms. Assuming we swept this low, right? Then I wouldn't actually be waiting for structural liquidity. Just like here at this point here, where did we even enter that? Okay, yeah, this was where you had that previous buy, right? Notice that we don't have any structural liquidity when we took this buy, and I was happy to take it, right? Because price has already done what? Taking liquidity from the left, right? So I will not be bothered looking for liquidity, and also we have another liquidity that price is heading to. You understand? So this was our liquidity that price wants to actually go and take out. So we have a destination and we have an entry. But now we have an entry, we have a destination, right, which is this target right here. But our entry now, we don't have any validation. We don't have anything to validate this entry yet because we have a sweep of liquidity and we don't have a structural liquidity. So let's wait and see if price forms that structural liquidity for us. Okay, so as you can see, price actually did that. Price actually did that, formed that liquidity, but it still took us out, right? It was even too quick. It was even too quick. And personally, yeah, I would have taken this trade and I would have ended in loss. Personally, I would have taken this trade, even though we didn't have a sweep of liquidity. Price already gave us this internal liquidity. Okay, so let's see what happened. Let's see what happened. Let's see what happened. So price is still ranging. Boom, we've broken. Yeah, now we've broken what? We've broken that 1 hour internal structure. We've broken that 1 hour structure, which is our 4 hour internal structure, right? We've broken that 1 hour structure. So this is price. Well, we not on the 1 hour. We don't actually have a body candle close yet. So let's see if we have that first. We don't have a body candle close. Yeah, we do. Now we do. Now we do. So now, what did I tell you happens when price wants to have a new perspective, a new objective? If price wants to have a continuation, it tells you by doing what? Switching structure is lower time frame structure. So these are 4 time frame, right? Price has been bullish, we've broken structure. We are waiting for what? A pullback to the discount price. For price to pull back, it's going to give us a sign using the lower time frames, using our internal structures. So the internal structure is going to switch bearish to facilitate price into that discount zone, which is what just happened here right now. Price has switched bearish, right? So the internal structure has switched bearish to do what? Telling us that what? It's most likely now that price is going to do what? Pull back to the downside. I'm so sorry for the background noise. It's kind of falling heavily right here. So I feel like I'm going to end this session here. But let's see if we can take a sell right here.